Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today we are going to discuss some shortcut ways or faster method of solving questions on percentage. Now to understand those, first I will take some general questions to understand those shortcut ways or faster ways of solving questions. And then I will take some latest CAT examples or CAT questions to understand the application of those ideas. So let's start. So first, the question says, while organizing a seminar, some invitations were sent and a hall was booked. At a later stage, it was realized that if all invitees come, then there will be 20 invitees standing in the hall. But if 20% of invitees do not turn up, then there will be 50 vacant seats. So find the number of seats in the seminar hall. Okay, we can do these questions in a traditional ways of taking total number of seats as 100x and then making the equations and equating. But what would be the simpler way of solving this question or smarter way? So here the smarter way would be I should relate the percentage with absolute value. That's the idea we are driving here. Now what's the meaning of that? So let's say number of seats. So let's take I have some number of seats. Okay. Now, if all the invitees come, then what will happen? If all the invitees, means if 100% people come, then there will be 20 invitees standing in the hall. That means total number of invitees are 20 more than total number of seats available. This we can say. The total number of invitees is 20 more than total number of seats. Okay. This is why I am representing it. Number of seats plus 20 is equal to total number of seats. On the other hand, if 20% of invitees do not turn up, there will be 50 vacant seats. If 20% do not turn up, which means if 80% turn up, okay? If 80% turn up, then what will happen? In that case, there will be 50 vacant seats, which means in this case, number of seats will be 50 more than the number of invitees turned up. Okay, so in this case, number of seats are 50 more than number of invitees. So now if I compare what I can say, total number of invitees means 100% of invitees. And here, if 80% invitees come, then what happens? Then what is the difference? 100% invitees and total 80% of invitees. So difference is what? The difference is 20% of invitees. There is a percentage difference. And what is the actual difference or the absolute difference in the number of seats? That is here it is plus 50 and here the difference is plus 20. That means the overall the difference will be 70 seats. Overall the difference would be 70 seats. So I can comfortably say that this 20% of invitees is equivalent to 70 seats. Right? So I can say that 20% of the invitees is equivalent to 70 seats. So this way I can relate percentage with the absolute value. Now the job is simple. 20% means what? 1/5. So 1/5 of total number of invitees is equivalent to 70 seats. So total number of invitees will be what? Simply 5 times of 70, which is 350. So now I get that total number of invitees is 350. So question is total number of seats. The total number of seats is what? 20 less than total number of invitees. So total number of seats would be simply 20 less, which is 330. So option C is my simple answer. Okay. Now moving to the next. Now here the question says, the length of one side of a triangle is 12 centimeter and perpendicular from the opposite vertex is 8 centimeter. If the length of the side is increased by 20% and the perpendicular is increased by 10%, then what percentage will the area of the triangle be increased? Now, in general process, I can do it simply by, we know that area of a triangle half into base into height. Okay. So I can take a number for base, I can take a number for height, then I can see the percentage increase, then I can find the new area and I can find the percentage increase in area. Fine, but that will take a certain amount of time. Now, how can we save time and make it faster? So in this case, we know that there is a formula in percentage that is called successive percentage change. Now, what happens in this formula, as you know, for example, number A, let's take first increases by X%, or first increases by, let's take A%, it becomes B. Again, it increases by, say, B% or changes by B%, so it becomes C. So what will the net change from A to C? That is given as A plus B plus A into B by 100%. That is the net change. Now I can apply the same successive change formula for this situation also. Okay. So first, area is equal to half into base into height. So here the question says the length is increased by, or the base is increased by 10%, and the height is increased by, length is increased by 20%, and the height of the perpendicular increased by 10%. Which means, what's the percentage change in area? So here also I can apply the same net change formula. So here also I can say that the percentage change in area would be simply same, A plus B plus 20 into 10 by 100%, which is simply equal to 32%. So option C is my answer, which is area would increase by 32%. So in this case, we can apply the idea of successive percentage change. So question is, when can I apply the successive percentage change? Now, if it happens that there are three variables, let's take A equal to B into C. Okay. Now, if I say that B has increased by, or B has changes by X% and C has changed by, say, Y%, then what will the percentage change in area or percentage change in A? Now, that will be given by X plus Y plus X into Y by 100%. That is a successive change formula 7. So in which case I can do it? If there are three variables such that B into C equal to A, that means B, a product of B and C is equal to A, then I can apply this funda for net change in A. This you should remember. Here, as area is equal to base into height, that means there is a product relationship. So I can apply the successive change formula for faster solution. Okay. Now let's take another example based on the same. Here the question says, the price of commodity was raised by 5%. The consumption of the same was increased by 400 tons to 480 tons. By how much percent will the expenditure of the article rise in the economy? So here also I can apply the same. So what is basically consumption or the expenditure rather? So expenditure क्या है? Expenditure means basically I can say price into consumption. ऐसे बोल सकता हूं मैं. That means there is a product relation. The product of price and consumption is equal to expenditure. Okay. So in this case क्या दिख रहा है मुझे कि price has increased by 5%. तो मैं यहाँ लिखता हूँ price has increased by 5%. कंजम्पशन, व्हाट अबाउट कंजम्पशन? कंजम्पशन का चेंज कैसा हुआ? ये भी इंक्रीज हुआ फ्रॉम 400 टन्स टू 480 टन्स, मतलब 20% इंक्रीज हुआ. तो कंजम्पशन इंक्रीज हुआ 20% एंड प्राइसेस इंक्रीज बाय 5%. सो एक्सपेंडिचर में परसेंटेज चेंज क्या होगा और नेट चेंज क्या होगा एक्सपेंडिचर में? अगेन, एज देयर इज अ प्रोडक्ट रिलेशनशिप, then expenditure in then percentage change in expenditure will also be denoted by the successive change. ओके. तो फिर क्या होगा? परसेंटेज नेट चेंज इन एक्सपेंडिचर. सो यू अप्लाई द सेम concept. So this will be what? X plus Y plus X into Y upon 100, which will be equal to 26%. So हम बोल सकते हैं कि एक्सपेंडिचर इंक्रीज होगा बाय 26% by applying the same concept. Okay. Now let's understand the application of the same concept in latest CAT example. So this appeared in CAT 24 in slot 3. ठीक है, इसको ट्राई करते हैं. It says, after two successive increments, Gopal's salary became 187.5% of his initial salary. The percentage increase or the percentage of salary increase in the second increment was twice that of the first increment. Then percentage of salary increase in the first increment was what percent? Yeah, quite a simple and straightforward question. So हम लिख सकते हैं ऐसे, let's take, मान लेता हूं initially salary was A, तो first it was increased by, let's take, uh, तो first let's take it was increased by X%, so it becomes B. उसके बाद let's take it increases by Y%, so it becomes C. अब बोल रहा है कि second increment was double of the first, which means this will become 2x%. The second increment will be 2x%. Now, what's the net increment? A to C का net increment is 187.5. मतलब C is now 187.5 पर C is 187.5% of A. तो फिर नेट इंक्रीमेंट क्या हुआ? तो नेट इंक्रीमेंट मस्ट बी 87.5% नेट चेंज, राइट? तो what is the percent increase in the first increment? That means I have to find the value of x. तो हम क्या करें? We apply the for direct formula for the net increase और successive increase का formula. तो फिर इसमें से हम क्या बोल सकते हैं? तो net increase should be equal to what? x plus 2x plus x into 2x by 100%, and that must be equal to 87.5%. तो इसमें से x का वैल्यू क्या होगा? Now you see, if I want to solve it, it will become a quadratic equation, which is going to be very clumsy. तो फिर हम क्या करना चाहिए? The simpler way क्या होगा? Faster way. The faster way would be if I check from the option. So instead of solving, check from options. Okay. तो ऑप्शन से हम क्या देखें? These options are for x, first increment दिया हुआ है. So हम ऑप्शन से चेक करके देखें. कौन सा ऑप्शन लेके चेक करें? कोई भी लेके चेक कर सकता हूँ, बट टेक ए सिंपल वन फर्स्ट. मान लो मैं पहले x को 30 लेके चेक करता हूँ. तो इफ आई पुट x इक्वल टू 30, तो फिर नेट इंक्रीमेंट क्या होगा? इट विल बी 30 प्लस 60 प्लस 30 into 60 by 100, which would be what? 90 plus 18, that is 108% will be net change. But मुझे चाहिए 87.5%, तो फिर 30 cannot be the answer. ठीक है. So next option if I take after 30, next option if I take favorable option, I take 25%, then what happens? If I take x equal to 25, then what happens? 25 plus 50 plus 25 into 50 by 100, which is equal to what? 75 plus 12.5, मतलब 87.5. तो क्वेश्चन के साथ डिटो मैच हो गया, which means x must be equal to 25%. So option D is my confirmed answer. So this way, with the help of this technique, I can make this question very faster and efficient. ठीक है. Now let's take another example of CAT 23. Here in this question, it says the population of a town in 2020 was 100,000. The population decreased by Y% from the year 2020 to 2021 and increased by X% from year 21 to 22, where X and Y are two natural numbers. If in the population in 22 was greater than the population in 2020, and the difference between X and Y is 10, then the lowest possible population of the town in 2021 was what? Now the question is clumsy or lengthy, but still we can make it faster by our logic. So let's try out. So if I draw the schematic first, तो in 2020 the population था 100,000 और 1 लाख. In 2021 population decreased by Y%, तो ये हो गया था something. Let's take A. Then in 2022 again it increased now by X% and it became, let's take B. And question says B was now more than 100,000, which is more than 2020. That's the condition. The final population is more than 100,000. And the difference between x and y is 10. So obviously, y is decreased and x has to be increased so that it is more than the initial value. Therefore, x has to be 10 more than y, percentage terms. X has to be 10% more than y. Okay. If y is 20%, then x must be 30%. That's the meaning. Now, question is, what is the lowest possible population of the town? The lowest possible population will be what? Now, instead of getting into algebra, I will simply check with the options. Okay. Here are my options for lowest population of the town. Okay. In 2021, that means the value of A. So what I'll do, I'll check lowest possible value. So I'll check with the lowest possible options. What is my lowest possible option is 72,000. So if I put it here by hit and trial, if I write say 2021, it was 72,000. Okay. So now from 100,000 to 72,000, then what's the value of y in this case? The decrease is what? 28% decrease. That means from 21 to 22, x must be what? 10% more, which is 28 plus 10. That means this has to increase by 38%. So in that case, what will be the population in 2022? Right? It's a little tedious calculation, but as you know, in CAT, we can use an on-screen calculator. ठीक है? तो तुम calculator में मार डाल दो इसको, तो this value will come out to be 99,360. But मुझे चाहिए, as per question, the population has to be more than 100,000. That means this cannot be my answer. It is ये question को satisfy नहीं कर रहा है. So 72,000 cannot be my answer. So next lowest possible option कौन सा है? वो है 73,000. तो अब इसको लेके चेक करके देखते हैं. If this is equal to 73,000, तो फिर y का वैल्यू क्या होगा? Y will be equal to now 27%. 100,000 से 73,000 मतलब 27% डिक्रीज हुआ. So next year increase क्या होगा? It must be increased by 37%. So what is the new population at the end of 2022? So increase it by 37% means multiply कर दो 1.37 से, डाल दो कैलकुलेटर में, and you will see this will come out to be 100,010, which is slightly more than 100,000. So condition is being satisfied. क्योंकि मेरा condition होना चाहिए था slightly more than 100,000. So all the conditions satisfied, which means the lowest possible value must be 73,000. So these we have seen in these examples. With the help of some strategies and shortcut techniques, we can make things faster in percentage questions as well, in latest CAT questions also. Okay, so with this I am signing out. Bye everyone. See you next.